Hello everyone. In this session, we will be learning Python language. Python is a high-level programming language. What is the meaning of high-level language? Actually, computer languages are divided in three broad categories: high-level language, assembly language, and machine language. High-level language are the English type languages which cannot directly run in the computer. So that means high level language has to transformed or translated into machine language to run it in the computer. In all cases, high level language has a source code, and this source code will go via something called translator. Now this translator can be a compiler or an interpreter. What compiler does? Compiler takes this English type high level source code and converts into, in case of Python, converts into bytecode. And this bytecode goes via something called Python virtual machine. This Python virtual machine consists of some translator called interpreter, and bytecode interprets into machine code. So as a programmer, we have to write the source code for Python. Python has compiler inbuilt in it. It's a translator which translates a high level language into bytecode. Python also has something called Python virtual machine, which converts bytecode into machine code. And then machine code runs into a particular computer, because computer cannot directly run high level language. Few transformation or translations are needed. Only machine code is actually written in binary. Binary means collection of zeros and ones. So our English type source code finally converts into binaries, which is a collection of zeros and ones, and then only computer can run it. Now, in case of Python, the source code extension is .py. That means we have to write the source code in high level language and save with a file name and a .py extension. Then only it can recognized by the Python compiler, which converts into bytecode. The extension of bytecode is .pyc, and then it goes into the Python virtual machine, which has interpreter in it, and then goes to the machine language. Okay. Python has compiler as well as interpreter. And both of these are nothing but translator. Compiler and interpreters are translators, which translates into one language to other kind of language. Python has a number of programming paradigm, object oriented programming, functional programming, as well as procedural programming. All three paradigms of programming are possible in case of Python. We will know what is object oriented programming, what is functional programming, and what is procedural programming in our subsequent sessions. Now, before going into the actual code of Python, let's understand why should we know Python languages now? What is the motivation for our learning behind Python? Nowadays, Python is the most popular programming language, and each and every industry is using Python as their one of the most used programming languages. Python can be used in a number of departments or in a number of branches. If you want to do some data engineering, or you want to do web development, machine learning, data science, image processing, or even if you want to write some script to automate some manual tasks. For all these cases, Python is the way to go. Most of the programmer prefers Python language to perform all these work. That is the reason Python is the most popular language nowadays. Now let's understand how can we write a Python program. We have already seen that we have to write a file with .py extension as a source code. Then only we can run that source code to get some output. Like all other programming languages, Python also has very basic concept. Like what it does, it takes few inputs, it processes those input, and then provides some output. Python is also doing the same thing. To provide some output, we have some syntax called print. If we want to print my name, I'll write my name here within quotation. Something like this. No semicolon required here like other languages. But when we will be writing Python code, we have to maintain the indentation. Indentation is very important to write any Python program. We will see what is indentation and what we are trying to discuss here for indentation. Where can we write the source code? To write the source code, we have very popular IDEs or integrated development environments. PyCharm is one of the most popular IDE to write Python source code. Apart from that, many data scientists and data engineers prefer Jupyter Notebook. To write any Python programming, we need to install Python and some IDE. We will now see how can we install Python and the IDEs. If you see, python.org is the website where we can download Python. Apart from the download, we have documentations as well. We have beginner's guide to start with Python coding. Apart from that, you can also attach with their community to get more information about new releases of Python, what are the bugs, how they are fixing it, and all these things. All these are possible because Python is an open source programming language. So I must request you to visit this python.org and get more info about Python programming language. Once you are done with the Python download, you also have to download some of the IDEs, and PyCharm is one among the best IDEs present now for Python. It has professional IDE as well as community edition. Professional is a paid version of PyCharm and mostly used in the industries. For your local development, you can always go with the community edition, which will be free, and you can always download it and run it in your machine. Apart from PyCharm, there is another IDE which is very famous for data engineers and machine learning engineers, which is Jupyter Notebook. This is the website jupyter.org. This is also a free project, and you can download Jupyter Notebook in your machine and start working with Python programming language. I already have installed Python in my machine, and this is the PyCharm IDE what I was talking about. I would request you to install Python and PyCharm or Jupyter Notebook to start practicing Python code. Once you are in PyCharm IDE, you can go here, create a new project and provide a name for a new project. I have written here Python tutorial. Once the project is created, you can create a new Python file here by right clicking on the project. Let me name it as tutorial 1, and a new .py file got created. As we have discussed, this is the place where we have to write the high level language or the source code of Python. Let's start with a very basic Python program so that you will be familiar with Python coding. To provide any output from a Python code, there is a function called print. Within print, within quotation, whatever you will write, everything will be printed out. If I write print hello, this is the first Python program, and then if we move to current file and then run this tutorial1.py, there is a shortcut for Windows as well, Shift and F10, or you can use GUI mode to run this. You can see here this is called console. This is the output area. Whatever code you will write in this source code, once you run this, it will provide you the output here in this section. In this case, as you can see, whatever we have written under print, everything got printed here in the output. Congratulations, you have understood how to write your very first Python program. In our subsequent session, we will go through all the other Python constructs and then identify what are those and how can we write more complex Python code to solve real-time problems. Just before wrapping up, let's go through all the things we have understood so far in this session. We got some information that what is high level language and why Python is a high level language. We also understood what is .py extension and what is source code, what are the translators present in Python. These Python translators will come as and when you will install Python in your machine. All the URLs or the links to download Python and the IDs, I will provide all the links into the description section so that you can go through them. We understood that Python has both compiler and interpreter. In Python, we can write object-oriented programming, functional programming as well as procedural programming. I will go through each and every concept in detail in my subsequent sessions. We also got some motivation. To understand why we should know Python. If you are going to in any field, data engineering field, web development field, machine learning, data science, image processing, automation, in each and every field you need Python language. So it's wise decision to learn Python as soon as possible. Like all other programming languages, source code will receive the input from user, process them accordingly with some logic and then provide some output. We also understood how can we print any output in the console or in the output section. We will speak about indentation of Python later. We understood there are some integrated development environment called PyCharm and Jupyter Notebook. These are mainly used or provide us ease to write Python program or Python source code. To start with this tutorial, you need to install Python in your machine and some IDEs. It could be PyCharm or Jupyter Notebook. Any one would work. Apart from these things, we also have to know Python is a language which is portable as well. What is the meaning of portable? If you write a source code in Windows, it can run in Linux, it can run in Mac OS, everywhere. And that is the reason it is called portable. So when we write the source code, it converts into bytecode And who converts this into bytecode? There is a translator called compiler. This bytecode can be used in any machine. For example, if we are writing the source code in Windows machine, Windows operating system, and create the bytecode by using compiler, then it goes to Python virtual machine. We have understood that in our previous discussion. Now, this Python virtual machine is dependent on the operating system. Why it is dependent on the operating system? Because the machine code it will create is very specific to the operating system and the computer infrastructure. That is the reason Python virtual machine will be different for Windows, different for Mac OS, different for Linux. This Python virtual machine will be for Windows, this will be for Mac, and another Python virtual machine for Linux. All these are already present. So, based on your computer, the bytecode will go to a specific type of Python virtual machine. It can go to Linux machine, it can go to Mac Python virtual machine or Windows Python virtual machine. The task for each and every Python virtual machine is the same. It creates machine language or machine code. But these machine codes will not be exactly same. The purpose of this machine code can only run in Windows, this machine code can only run in Mac, and this machine code can only run in Linux. We cannot run this Linux machine code into Windows. So, basically whenever you will install Python in your machine based on your operating system, there will be a different Python binary. What it means? It means based on your operating system, Python virtual machine will be different. You don't have to think about all those things. You will go to the site of Python and then download the Python and install it. Based on your operating system, a specific version of Python virtual machine will be installed in your machine. But for our in detail understanding, I have explained this to you. Basically, source code to bytecode conversion will be portable, means it can be done in any machine. Once this bytecode gets created, based on your operating system, a specific Python virtual machine will convert into a specific machine language or machine code which can run to the target operating system. And that is the main reason why Python is a portable language. In our next session, we will start with the data types of Python. We will learn all the use of data types and how can we write it in our source code. Thank you for watching this session.